Hey everybody, Joe here. We've got some info to bring to you today. So, as you may or may not know, the SCOTUS has been hearing the trans debate there in their court, and it's as retarded as the entire debate itself. Of course, men shouldn't be in women's sports, boys shouldn't be in girls' bathrooms. The list goes on. You all know. We just all saw that video. I'm not playing it here of the supposed trans man shadow doing this nonsense in the bathroom for women because they're all perverts. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'll bring this over here again so I am talking straight into the mic. We got this from Pam Bondi. She says, today, my attorneys are arguing a crucial Supreme Court case pushing back against the trans agenda. Our position states that our position states have the authority to ban men from participating in women's sports. This is common sense. We are fighting to protect girls and women in the locker room and the playing field. We will be successful.
The Department of Justice will not sit by when women are discriminated against in sports.
I will echo Attorney General's comments about how brave these women are, these young women.
I thank you on behalf of course, myself, but I think more importantly, my younger sister, of all the women and girls who have dreams, like I did when I was young.
I am extremely grateful to AG Bondi for standing up for us when our elected officials aren't doing that.
Thank you to the Trump administration and AG Bondi for taking action on behalf of our girls and helping to ensure a safe, fair, and level playing field.
All right, and then you had your usual retards in comments. Oh, what about the Epstein files? Oh, you're not doing anything. Nobody's paid a price for anything yet. Now, keep in mind, this is one of God knows how many cases that this under Bondi, this DOJ has had to handle. Anytime Trump makes a decision, anytime they do anything that any other president, if it was a Democrat doing it, that wouldn't even be touched, it goes to court and ends up here. And they're not only fighting at the SCOTUS level, they're fighting down at the lower courts and all this and that. And on top of that, they're doing these investigations and all the new information that we're finding out. Just one thing after another for these people. So you're going to have to bear with them and stop being such a bitch. End of the day, here we go. Let's take a look at some of the things that happened in the court. This is coming from the account Barron Trump, which is not actually him. Holy smokes. Samuel Alito just eviscerated the argument for letting men compete in girls' sports. Let's take a listen.
That has a boys, let's say, track team and a girls' track team. The school has that. And a student who has the genes and the reproductive system of a male and had those at birth and has never taken puberty blockers, never taken female hormones, never had any gender altering or affirming surgery, says, nevertheless, I am a woman. That's who I am. Can the school say, no, you cannot participate on the girls' team?
So to recap, he's asking this they, them thing, mass train wreck thing here. If a boy who looks like me, let's say, maybe not the facial hair with the gray in it and stuff, a young boy says, hey, I'm a girl. I want to go in the girls' locker room. That's where I feel more comfortable. Even though he's got none of the surgeries or hormones, not that this matters. He's still a boy even after the blockers and the surgeries and all that. He's still a boy. But he's just simply making the statement or laying a trap, let's say. So if this regular boy decides he wants to go into the locker room with the girls, is he allowed to? And she's about to answer that. And it is about they, them, whatever it is about to answer those. So let's take a listen.
Sorry, so you're just a birth sex male who has all the advantages of birth sex male hormones, and can the school bar him from the women's team? Yes, they can.
But that person, is that person not a woman in your understanding? If the person says, I sincerely believe I am a woman, I am in fact a woman. Is that person not a woman?
I would respect their self-identity in addressing the person, but in terms of the statute, I think the question is, does that person have a sex-based biological advantage that's going to make it unfair for that person to be part of the women's team? And that's the rationale for the regulation. And
what's funny to me is that they keep saying, oh, did they do anything to try to be a woman? They can't just say that they are because now they have an advantage. I've got a news flash for everybody who's watching this, but we've seen these transgender athletes kick women's butts left and right because this stuff doesn't do what these people claim it does. Not fast enough anyway. Over time, it will change a lot of things about you, to the point where if you ever change your mind and want to be the thing that you were before, you can't go back, despite what these liars say. So she's saying, no, that boy can't do it. But if you were to listen to the insane, my dog seems to be getting comfortable. If you listen to the insane base, they say, hey, if they say they're this thing, they are this thing, right? If they say they're a unicorn, they're a unicorn, okay? That's how real life works, you guys, for real. So let's take a listen to the rest.
And so that's the way we would be testing that hypothetical.
Well, the reason I'm asking has to do with discrimination on the basis of transgender status. So what you seem to be saying is, yes, it is permissible for the school to discriminate on the basis of transgender status, because if this person is a trans woman, a trans girl, and is barred from the team, from the girls' team, then that person is being subjected to differential treatment based on transgender status, right?
Well, that would be, then the question would be whether it was, the scrutiny would be satisfied. So from our perspective, that would be a transgender classification.
That has
all right, so there you have it. It's just mental gymnastics. Then we've got this Riley Gaines, who's pretty much killed her own credibility on any other topic aside from this one. Far more people have shown up to the Supreme Court to support women than the opposing. 2026 looks a whole lot different than 2022. Thank God for it. Well, you know, you were attacking Trump just as recent as, like, I don't know, November, October, for stupid shit to try to get the clicks. And now you can praise God for that because of what Trump's done. So go fuck yourself. Gunther Eagleman, SCOTUS, Amy Coney Barrett, so-called conservative, just referred to men as trans girls. Let's take a listen to this.
You're just drawing the line based on biological sex and saying that trans girls can't be on the girls' team in an age group that's prepubescent.
The record in this case does not support the notion that males lack an athletic advantage at 6 years old. That's about as early as the science goes from what's in the record. And even at that age, males have about a 5% athletic advantage over girls in most situations. Now,
you're just drawing the line based on...
I'm going to be fair. I think Alito said pretty much the same thing. They're just using the language that for the court, whatever. Anyway, so there we have it. Justin D. This is going to be good. DEI Justice Ketanji Jackson fires back at red states treating people on the basis on biology, not transgender. Okay, he kind of typed that weird, but let's go ahead.
Is that right?
I think to some degree, but it's also, Your Honor, it's just because we're indifferent to a person's gender identity in applying the law.
But the law actually operates differently, I think, for cisgender women and transgender women. That is, with respect to their desire to play on a team that matches their gender identity, cisgender women can do it, transgender women cannot. And so we do appreciate a distinction, I think, that is being drawn on the basis of your gender status, gender identity status, trans or cis, right?
So, and I want to make sure I understand if we're operating in Title IX world or equal protection world, because I think it might make a difference to the answer. But
okay, let's start with Title IX.
So Title IX, I think the question of I look at this statute and see a distinction between boy and girl indifferent to gender identity. And I think that...
Right, but I'm testing that proposition, right? You see that distinction, and I see it too on the separation of teams level at the beginning.
Right, and I think what I'm hearing is that distinction arises from a difference in effect, and I don't see a disparate impact analysis that's sort of hidden away in Title IX.
But why is that a difference in effect? So it's like a second order discrimination, right? The first order is separating male from female.
Right.
The second order...
Did she just argue that males and females shouldn't be separated? I'm going to be honest, though. When I was in high school, we were in the locker room, but when I was in gym class in the high school, gym class was not separated. I remember accidentally, hitting the volleyball over the net and it nailed some chick in the face. Felt bad, but at the end of the day, what are you going to do? It would have happened if that was a dude too. But at the end of the day, I remember that But what is like? This is literally a lawyer, I guess, is my point, having to explain to somebody on the nation's highest court how law works, because Biden needed a black justice to appease.
Order is separating transgender women from cisgender women, right?
Respectfully, I would disagree.
No.
Your Honor. The reason why is just because I think anytime you have a classification, you could divide it into subclassifications, and I don't think that then becomes, like, the law in the same way applies to brown-haired biological girls and blonde-headed biological girls.
I understand, but I don't think you can get,
based on hair color.
I'm not sure, and maybe this is switching to the equal protection, I don't think you can get out of the
I think
right?
we're all dumber for having listened to you speak. All right, let's see here. Holy smokes, SCOTUS, Sam Melito asks ACL. Oh, this will be good. Let's take a listen to this.
Girls.
Yes, Your Honor.
If girls.
Yes, Your Honor.
If it does that, then is it not necessary for there to be, for equal protection purposes, if that is challenged under the Equal Protection Clause, an understanding of what it means to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that definition? For equal protection purposes, what does it mean to be
no.
a boy or a girl or a man or a woman?
Sorry, I misunderstood your question. I think that the underlying enactment, whatever it was, the policy, the law, we'd have to have an understanding of how the state or the government was understanding that term to figure out whether or not someone was excluded. We do not have a definition for the court. And we don't take issue with we're not disputing the definition here. What we're saying is that the way it applies in practice is to exclude birth sex males categorically from women's teams, and that there's a subset of those birth sex males where it doesn't make sense to do so according to the state's own interest.
Well, how can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means for equal protection purposes?
I think here we just know we basically know that that they've identified, pursuant to their own statute, Lindsay qualifies as a birth sex male, and she's being excluded categorically from the women's teams as the statute. So we're taking the statute's definitions as we find them, and we don't dispute them. We're just
This is the stupidest shit, man.
Yes, Your Honor.
So here you go. That's what's going on in our nation's highest court today. We're arguing about what the difference between a male and female is, and whatever these mutant freaks are that we're seeing show up because they want to be popular on TikTok are. So end of the day, we'll see how this goes. We'll keep an eye on it, and I'll keep you posted. Y'all have a great night. There might be a couple more videos on the way.